The Coyote Twin, Vermilion's downtown theater. Providing entertainment Thursdays through Sundays.
Coyote Athletics has a new interim athletic director.
And the Student Counseling Center has a new location.
Live from the Al Newharth Media Center, this is Coyote News.
Welcome back to another semester of Coyote News. I'm Michael Stake.
And I'm Jody and Tyson. The hunt for a new athletic director has begun following the departure of former AD David Herbster. Carly Phillips joins us in studio with our top story tonight. Carly?
Jody Ann and Michael, for 10 years, Herbster was a staple part for Coyote Nation. But now that he's taken a step away, the university is working to continue to provide a strong athletic program.
Spread the red, or We Are South Dakota, and the only way you can do that is to be out in the public eye.
Former USD Athletic Director David Herbster has accepted a new job in Sioux Falls. He'll be working in Sanford Health's Community Relations Department, but that doesn't mean he's forgotten about the Coyote community.
Part of one of my roles will be furthering Sanford's relationship with USD. So in many cases, our athletes or fans might not have known it, but we typically had a pretty good Sanford presence at most of our athletic events. And so now that's going to be me. So I'll still be at quite a few events, just wearing a different color.
Herbster has been heavily involved in several community projects. He hopes that community involvement is something that Coyote Nation can continue to strive for, even after his departure.
What have I given back to USD? That's a tough one. I guess I haven't taken enough time to think about it in those terms. I guess what I would think is trying to be and kind of in lockstep with USD and making this a community. Not only that Vermilion's a community and that USD is a community with Vermilion, but there's a community within USD.
Herbster helped reshape the athletic department. He reorganized a support program called the Howling Pack and directed scholarship campaigns. So while his time at USD is coming to an end, one thing's for sure.
Once a Yote, always a Yote. That's right.
In Vermilion, Carly Phillips, Coyote News.
And his final day was last Wednesday. Corey Jenkins will serve as interim athletic director. Sports Live correspondent Sydney Colin will have more for us on his role here coming up. Jody Ann.
Thanks, Carly. A sexual assault was reported on the USD campus on Friday, August 25th. Officials say the incident happened at an off-campus fraternity, but they haven't released any specific names at this time. Police do not see any ongoing threat to the community. If you're the victim or a witness of a crime, UPD encourages you to contact local law enforcement.
The Student Counseling Center has moved from the Cookhouse to Dakota Hall, where its counselors continue to help with a variety of mental health concerns. There are campus signs pointing students towards Dakota Hall, where they can enter through the south side of the building. Students can receive free counseling from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. To make an appointment, go to the Student Counseling Center page on the USD website.
An FBI audit of the University Police Department came back with zero compliance issues. The audit is intended to improve the accuracy of crime data collected by law enforcement. It investigated UPD's reporting procedures and investigative practices. They reviewed a random sampling of UPD reports to assess the accuracy of crime descriptions.
Convenience stores on campus are seeing a rise in theft. Coming up, we'll have how this could affect access to students.
Hi, I'm Quinn Guinette, president of the Anime Club. And sure, we watch a lot of anime and talk a lot about manga, but the club, it's so much more than that. It is really a place for people with similar interests to come together. This is a very relaxing environment. There are tons of snacks, places to study, and a bunch of different types of anime we see every week. We meet every Tuesday in Beacom Room 340. So please, come be a part of this community.
In a world where embracing your identity is a privilege not usually given to the members of the LGBTQIA+ community, The University of South Dakota Spectrum provides community and education for young queer scholars. Sexuality and identity are defined on spectrums. And having a community of open-minded, inclusive peers provides safety. Spectrum is one reason all Coyotes can call the University of South Dakota their home.
This is Coyote News.
The C-stores in the dorms are open 24 hours a day, but this could change following recent thefts. Coyote Village saw the most shoplifting last year, with more items stolen than the BD Bump and Muck C-store combined. Weekly inventory management is done and cross-checked using security camera footage to identify the thief. If a student is found stealing, they'll be notified. University Housing Director Cody Burgraff says theft isn't just bad for the student, but for the Coyotes as a whole.
Look out for your fellow Yotes, make sure you're not stealing, you're paying for those items so we can continue to keep it stocked, continue to keep it open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's the ultimate goal, is for student convenience, is to be able to get things when you want them. We can lessen the hours, which doesn't help anyone. We can, there's other things we can do, but at the same time, it's all about folks making the right decisions for the rest of the community.
If you see a student stealing, Burgraff suggests to either talk to the culprit directly or tell UPD or an RA about what you saw. If you or someone you know is dealing with food insecurity, Charlie's Cupboard is open Thursday afternoons from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. in the Center for Continuing Education, room 114.
USD has launched a new safety app that alerts students and staff about campus emergencies. The Everbridge app features a panic option that sends an SOS request to campus police. When pressed, the user's phone automatically starts recording video of their surroundings. If off campus, the emergency call button routes to local law enforcement services. Coyote News' Marissa Brunkhorst is live in the muck with one of those officers to tell us more about how Everbridge works.
Michael.
Marissa?
Thanks, Michael. I'm here with Bryant Jackson, Chief of University Police. Thanks for being here, Bryant.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
What can you tell us about this app, and what do you want students to know?
Yeah, so the Everbridge mobile app is really just that next evolution of our USD safety application. So we had the USD Safe app, and so we've had it for a few years. And so really just the Everbridge app is taking some of those same concepts to the next level and providing really a better application to our students.
Why did you guys choose to add these additional services?
Yeah, so the Everbridge mobile app is actually being implemented border regions wide. So all of the schools are implementing the same app, so there's some great price breaks and structures with that as well. But it also provides some added benefits for our students that might travel from one institution to another. So for example, if you happen to travel to a School of Mines, our students that have the app downloaded would receive that same emergency notification if there were to be an incident on the Mines campus while our students were there.
Can you name a few of these specific features that are new?
Yeah, so some of the same features kind of exist, but they're labeled different. So the SOS alert is kind of the mobile blue light, the safe corridor, kind of that virtual walk home, but some of the benefits are that safe corridor then triggers the SOS alert if the student were to not punch in their code at the end of their walk or in that timely manner. So there's just some added benefits that kind of take those features to the next level.
Besides this new app, are there any other new safety features that you've incorporated?
Yeah, so from that app perspective, that's really it. One of the new additions is that the application is really tied into our emergency notification system. So we look at some of the tragic incidents that have happened around the country. We're really trying to get that information into our students, staff, and faculty right into their hands as quickly as possible. So if there were to be any type of emergency on campus as well, that information is delivered to their phones and not just maybe their USD email.
How do you decide what information is shared with the student body about whether it be a crime or the reports that are sent out in our emails?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Clery Act is a federal piece of legislation that kind of dictates that. So there's things that are called Clery Act crimes, and then the Clery Act itself outlines what type of information we're required to share, as we work through those notification pieces.
Have you noticed any changes or in the level of crimes on campus at all?
I think one of the things that we really want to consider is just that we know crime is underreported in general. So just looking at that, we're really trying to create a safe space, a safe environment where those that are victims of crime feel comfortable to report them. So whether or not they seek that criminal investigation or just supportive measures institutionally, we want to ensure that they're supported.
Bryant, thanks so much for being here. Live in the muck for Coyote News, I'm Marissa Brunkhorst.
Thanks, Marissa. And again, the app is available to download for free.
With a teacher shortage affecting the nation, USD's Department of Education may have found a solution.
Coyote News' Quinn Masick talked with the head of the new department about a new apprenticeship program.
In June of this year, the Associated School Boards of South Dakota said the state had 410 open teacher positions.
So USD has jumped in to try to encourage this year to address the teacher shortage in the state.
But, thanks to the Department of Labor, USD's Department of Education is working on starting an apprenticeship program.
The Federal Department of Labor has had these programs all along, but primarily in, say, technical fields. And they're expanding them out to fields like teacher education.
Amy Schweinley, Dean of the Department of Education, says the apprenticeship program would allow students to work in public schools while still getting their degree.
Through the Department of Labor, they also get some tuition remission. They get funding to support books, any other supplies that they need for their education. The school district also receives support for a mentor teacher for them, so this is a win-win for everybody.
Schweinley says that some of the hardest subjects to find teachers for are math and science, but the hardest one being special education.
We're seeing that nationwide, especially in rural areas where they have a really hard time recruiting teachers.
If you are entering education from a different field, you don't have to start with nothing.
They have created pathways to be able to do that where you can take 2 years in your job, especially for people who are second career.
Schweinley says every profession relies on education.
It is a hard time to be a teacher, but it's also an amazingly rewarding career. To be able to affect the lives of so many people and the lives of all the people that they encounter.
For Coyote News, I am Quinn Masick.
Thanks, Quinn. The Department of Labor is currently reviewing the application for the program. Schweinley says she hopes the apprenticeship program can start at USD in January.
If you noticed glitter in the air, you weren't dreaming. Rush for Sororities took place this weekend. Fraternity events were held last week, and sororities wrapped up Monday. Houses like Kappa Alpha Theta, Alpha Z Delta, Alpha Phi, and Pi Beta Phi saw record highs for recruitment. More than 180 new students signed up. Part of this year's increase could be due to having it 2 weeks later than usual. In the past, Rush has taken place on the weekend before school started. This year, they changed it so students could have more time to find out what Greek life was all about before rushing. Those students still interested in being a part of Greek life, they'll be recruiting again in the spring. Next on Coyote Sports, we ask football players their superstitions.
And women's soccer dominated against Morningside.
Dedication, resilience, and devotion. These 3 words define the USD dance team. As ambassadors of the university, the collegiate dancers engage the crowd on game days, connect with the community through events, and prepare for the UDA College National Championship to represent the university. Dance team is more than just a sport, it's a passion.
Jump on 3, 1, 2, 3, go!
This is Coyote News.
This is Coyote Sports. I'm Spencer Bewley.
And I'm Callie Connors. USD's volleyball team had a tough matchup against Northern Kentucky this past Sunday. In the first set, the Coyotes won 25-17, and in the second set, 25-23. Northern Kentucky won 25-19 in both the third and fourth set. In the fifth and final set, the Coyotes lost 12-15, with the final score being 2-3. Even with the loss, senior middle blocker Madison Harms came out victorious. She put down a season high of 21 kills, which is just 1 kill shy of her career high. Their next game is tomorrow against Drake at 6 p.m. in the SCSC.
The women's soccer team had a match at home against Morningside last week. In the matchup, midfielder Izzy Quintavalli scored the first goal of the game off an assist from forward Riley Haldeman. The Coyotes kept their lead into the second half, 2-0. Shaylee Galis scored 2 goals for the Coyotes in the second half, as well as a goal from Ashby Johnston and Maggie Pallison. The Coyotes win this one, 7-0. The Coyotes kept their winning streak alive as they won against Idaho State on Friday, 3-2. Brooke Conway scored 2 goals and Ashby Johnston won in that matchup. A day later, they faced off against Utah State. That match ended in a tie, 0-0. The soccer team's next match is against UNI tomorrow here in Vermilion.
The cross-country team's season began on Friday at the 12th annual Augustana Twilight Meet. Freshman Madison Brower highlighted the night for the Coyote women, finishing 8th in the 5,000-meter run. The women finished 7th overall with scoring efforts from Brower, Alexis Pagel, Abby Schmidt, Mariah Knapp, and Haley Miller. The Coyote men finished 14th out of 32 teams, seeing points from Carson Lauterbach, Riley Ruhawk, Trevor Hyatt, Grant Dixon, and John Swotek. The Coyotes will compete in Brookings on Friday in the SDSU Classic.
The Coyote football team's preparing to play St. Thomas in the first home game of the season. Last week, they kicked off the start of their fall season on Thursday against Missouri. It was a rough start as the Tigers scored 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. In the second quarter, Will Leyland scored a field goal for the Coyotes, but Missouri was still 11 points ahead. Mike Manzarek scored a touchdown in the final quarter, but it wasn't enough. The Coyotes lost 10-35. Their next game against St. Thomas starts at 1 o'clock on Saturday. Earlier, we talked about David Herbster stepping down from his position as USD's athletic director. Coyote News' Sydney Colm is live in the muck with his temporary replacement. Sydney?
Thanks, Spencer. I'm here with Corey Jenkins, interim athletic director. Hi, Corey.
Hello.
So your past role was senior associate athletic director for operations and facility management. How has that role prepared you for the new one as interim?
You know, I think being heavily involved in the overall departmental activities for the last 5 years, I'm not new to USD, 5 years here as a member of our senior staff, and knowing all that goes on behind the scenes certainly has definitely prepared me for this opportunity and role.
And the past person that took over this position was Herbster. What have you learned from him, and now that you're executing in this role?
Yeah, so David Herbster, he's a friend, he's a mentor, he's one of the reasons I came to work at USD in the first place. And really what he taught me was patience. He taught me, the value of listening and making sure that you approach everything from a collaborative standpoint, never assuming you're the smartest person in the room, that kind of thing. So that you're getting the input for all the fantastic staff and coaches that we have so that you're making the best decisions possible.
And how is the process of looking for a permanent athletic director started? Has it started yet?
So that process will be guided by President Gestring. The plan that she's laid out is that right after the first of the year, January, February, somewhere in there, a position will be posted. They'll take applications at that time with the goal of having someone hired and in place and be able to announce that individual prior to the Summit League basketball tournament.
So is there any specific date at all with the athletic director and it being filled? I know you said basketball, but any sort of date?
No specific date, no. So we'll see how the next couple of months go, and ultimately President Gestring will guide that timeline and decide when she's ready to post, and then let the process play out. You know, ultimately you want to take a patient approach, make sure you find the right person for the athletic department and the university. No need to rush that scenario, and then get the person in place once you have that correct person.
Then last question here, Corey. Are you looking to take on the new athletic director role at all?
Sure. So I've been asked this question a lot. So being a Division I athletic director is absolutely a career goal of mine. I'm very blessed and honored to be in the interim role now and be able to serve our student athletes in this role. And ultimately, if I have the opportunity to take on the role full time, I would welcome that and embrace that. But I also know we have great leadership here, and ultimately President Gestring will make a decision to bring somebody here or announce somebody in that role who's the best person for the university.
Corey, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Live in the muck for Coyote Sports, I'm Sydney Colin.
Thanks, Sydney. Coyote News will continue to follow the search for a new athletic director.
Every athlete has their own routine that they strictly follow.
In this week's Out and About, we asked football players what their superstitions are.
Here's what they had to say.
For our away games, we tend to get together in the hotel room and we'll watch live PD and cops. That's our game day prep.
I gotta wear the same underwear every day. I mean, every game.
When we go out for early outs, I gotta end my throwing session on perfect throw, perfect spiral.
I guess the night before the game, after we get done with walkthrough and meetings and all, go to Dairy Queen, get some chicken strips and Blizzard.
The night before, I like to throw my glasses on, and then Saturday mornings, I like to shower and get ready for the game.
I don't have any, just another day.
Spencer, as a pole vaulter, do you have a superstition or routine?
Well, there's a tape measure that we all use to mark our steps on the runway, and so I guess my superstition is that you can never step on the tape measure. It's bad luck.
I will remember that if I ever pole vault.
That's it for Coyote Sports.
When we come back, we ask students what their go-to karaoke song is. Stay with us.
Day in and day out. From one field on to the next. Dedicated, restorative, and driven. To the American farmer who represents the roots of our country, we thank you for all you do.
This is Coyote News.
Everybody has their favorite song.
But would you sing that song in front of a crowd? In this week's Out and About, we ask students what their go-to karaoke song is.
Here's what they had to say.
Okay, so I hate karaoke, but my go-to song every time someone forces me to do karaoke is Umbrella by Rihanna.
Wagon wheel. Cause rock me. It's just a banger. It's really good.
Yeah, good country.
Probably Love Story by Taylor Swift because it's just a classic. And I'm a Swiftie, so.
Love by Keisha Cole. Every Time We Touch by Cascada, because every time we touch, I get this feeling. And every time we kiss, I swear I can fly.
Probably Disturbia by Rihanna, because, I don't know, it's just so much fun to sing with, like, your friends and everything.
Either Ain't No Mountain High Enough or Man, I Feel Like a Woman by Shania Twain is typically what I go with.
Definitely Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus, because it's just a great song.
Probably Justin Bieber because I know all the lyrics, like the Baby song.
Baby. Yeah, that's a good one. Otherwise, what's that? Sexy Back. That's a great song.
Tequila by the Champs. It's easy and it's easy to amuse people, if I'm honest.
Fly Me to the Moon by Frank Sinatra.
Why? It's a classic.
Oh, I cannot karaoke. I do not have that kind of charisma.
Oh
Can you?
Gosh. In the bathroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. People often get pulled over for speeding, but it's not every day you hear of someone being stopped for having a bull as their passenger. Norfolk police pulled over Nebraskan resident Lee Mayer and his co-pilot, Howdy Doody, a Watusi bull last week. Officials had received a 911 call prior to the traffic stop about the two cruising through town. Howdy Doody's known for his parade appearances, but wasn't headed to one that day. They had traveled 36 miles from home before officials caught up with them. Police let Mayer off with a warning as long as he turned back around and brought the bull back home. I definitely will never do that because, like, there's another picture that wasn't shown of the back window, and that would be quite a mess.
Oh my gosh.
It's almost an unbelievable story.
Almost. Hilarious.
And that's all for Coyote News.
Pick up the Valance issue for a peek at the new downtown Vermilion murals.
And listen to 91.1 for news updates throughout the week and for coverage of your USD sports.
Don't forget to follow our social media pages for daily updates and other events happening on campus. Have a great night.